If you're trying to stop drinking, why do you still crave alcohol after you stopped? Did you know that after alcohol is out of your system, what you're left with is a mental obsession and not a craving? You might think you're craving alcohol, but what you're really doing is obsessing over it. That mental obsession is what will drive you back to drinking every single time, not the craving. If you want some practical advice on how to deal with cravings and the mental obsession that follows, I've got a lot of experience staying sober, and I want to share with you what's worked for me. Cravings happen early on in sobriety when you're trying to get alcohol out of your system. Cravings actually happen when alcohol is in your system, period. So you ever get that feeling of drinking and you've had 12 beers, 4 shots, and you're still thirsty? That's a craving. You got to have more. There's nothing that can then satisfy that drink craving. That's what that is. But getting it out of your system could be a couple days, maybe a week, depending on how much alcohol you've been drinking. Once alcohol's out of your system, though, what you think is a craving is actually your mind obsessing over drinking. That's it. There's no more craving. The alcohol's out of your system. There's no more physical effects of it. It's all centered in your mind. So I'm going to describe to you both what cravings look like in the early sobriety, since they do happen at all times when you are drinking. You kick off that phenomenon of craving that alcoholics have, and the mental obsession, and then talk about what do you do with each one of them when they pop up in your life. So let's start by describing cravings and mental obsessions. Cravings, what do they feel like? What's going on? Cravings happen anytime alcohol is in your system. When you stop putting alcohol in your system, your body really screams for it. And that could be 10 minutes, 2 hours, a day and a half. You're actually removing poisons or stopping putting that stuff in your system, and your body doesn't like it. No matter how much poison it is or how much your body is supposed to reject it, it's so used to having it that when it doesn't have it, you've got a physical reaction to it. Since it's still in your system, but your levels are getting dangerously low, I mean, what your body's going to do and your mind's going to do is try to tell you you need more. You got to have it, or something bad's going to happen. Your body's going to probably go through withdrawals in the early sobriety if you've been bathing yourself in it constantly. So physically, that craving is going to be, only arrested by having more alcohol, or you're going to have to just go through the whole process of eliminating alcohol from your system and dealing with the physical effects of that. That's withdrawal. That's what cravings are going to feel like when you're removing alcohol from your system. So you might shake, you might have severe headaches, your sleep's going to be affected. I know it did for me. I was seeing funny stuff on the floor because I was going through actually, DTs. I had severe headaches. I couldn't sleep. I was constantly tired through the day. But if you're having some severe stuff like that going on, or even if you're having more severe shaking and sweating and things like that, please go seek medical attention. So if you're in that spot, just call 911, show up at the ER, go to local detox, do something, because alcohol withdrawal can kill you. What do mental obsessions feel like? You're going to have mental obsessions at the same time you're going to have cravings, whether it's before you stop drinking or while you're stopping drinking. They're going to happen at the exact same time. That's what makes it kind of hard. When alcohol is still in your system, your brain's going to tell you that you need it. And when all you've done in the past is try to drown your feelings with alcohol, and now you stop, that's going to trigger your brain to tell you that you need it or something bad is going to happen. Mental obsessions happen with the cravings, but once the booze is finally out of your system, it's just the obsession that stays. That's why it's so important to learn tools to combat the obsessions more than the cravings. Cravings only last a few days to a week, depending on how much you've been drinking, but the obsessions can last so much longer. All right, let's talk about what we do with the cravings and the mental obsessions. We'll start with what do you do with the cravings? And truthfully, really what you need to do to treat the cravings, since cravings are a physical reaction, you got to treat them with physical things. And one of those things, alcohol's got a lot of sugar in it, and you stop putting that stuff in your system. You can try to fake your system out, your body out, by replacing it with candy. I replaced it with candy. Doesn't matter what it is, just some kind of sugary substance that can replace some of that sugar that you're now not putting in your system. I don't know what it is. If it sounds kind of odd to you, try it. It worked for me. A lot of people in early sobriety suggested it to me, and it worked. I know that I wasn't eating meals at all pretty much in the last few months of my active drinking. So having meals, again, faked my body out. I'm getting something in my system. I'm having some sustenance, some protein. I was really living off carbs and a prayer, basically. When I ate, I did feel physically better, and that did help the physical cravings. But the symptoms of withdrawal, you definitely have to treat those. So if you have a headache, take some over-the-counter medications. Kind of caution you on the sleep part. There are some over-the-counter sleep medications, but they can be, addictive in nature. So just be cautious with that kind of stuff. I didn't use any over-the-counter sleep aids. I just kind of sucked it up. It was not fun for the first couple days, but you know what? Getting sober and staying sober is not easy, and sometimes we just got to toughen up and deal with it. Just like getting older is not for the weak, getting physically removed from alcohol is not easy nor fun. But that pain, is something I had to go through, and it's a great reminder of where I came from and really where I don't want to go back. All right, what do we do with mental obsessions? This is for me, kind of a lifelong endeavor. Not being mentally obsessed, but having to make sure those mental obsessions are arrested. So mental obsessions are overpowering thoughts, and the best way to combat them is actually through actions. What we do is try to act our way out of that obsessive thinking instead of thinking our way out of obsessive thinking. What we used to do is try to think our way out of bad thinking. And that's never worked for me. I'm pretty sure if you really dive into your past and your behavior, thinking differently never got you out of what you're thinking or how you were thinking. So we're going to try something different. We're going to act our way into a different thinking. Things that help me in early sobriety and even today, is try to stay as busy as I can. I found that any idle time I had was idle time where my brain could take over and start thinking. Thinking is really what got me in here. I thought I could drink differently. I thought I could change my people and my places, and when I really didn't. I thought I had every answer to stop drinking. And here I am. I'm an alcoholic, and I had to change my actions. So part of what do I do in changing my actions, calling someone else that's trying to get sober and telling them what my obsessive thoughts are, that I'm thinking about drinking and I haven't had a drink in a week, in a month, in 2 months, in 3 months. You got to tell someone, but that's an action. Get on the phone and tell someone. Send a text message. Get online. Do something. Those in a 12-step program or anyone else that's religious or spiritual, prayer. My God, it has definitely worked for me. I am not a religious person. I am definitely a spiritual person, but I pray to a higher power. That's definitely an action. It's part of my daily routine to combat my obsessive thinking. My obsessive thinking right now really isn't around drinking. It's around other things, but it's still the obsessive thinking. And yes, you can have obsessive thinking in sobriety around things other than booze. Stay sober long enough and you'll find that out. Mental obsession is the thing that takes the most work to arrest and to keep down. If I don't do and keep doing intensive work on a daily basis on the way I perceive life and how life affects me, then I'm almost inviting mental obsession back into my life. Here are 3 big things to combat mental obsession. Daily actions on watching how I show up in life. Watching is an action word, and it means that I am constantly reviewing my actions throughout the day. Take a period of time in the morning, early afternoon, and the evening to stop what you're doing and say, hey, how am I doing today? Do I really feel like life sucks, or is it positive? And not everything has to be positive for you to have a positive attitude. but actively watching. Take that time to stop and reflect on what is going on today. Daily actions, watching how my actions affect other people. Not only what am I doing, but I need to review how what I'm doing is affecting other people. And it's a continuation of that watching piece. I need to watch other people's reactions on how I'm acting. Through practice of this, I can see where my actions have either a positive or negative effect on others. And I can see really it's another gauge of how I'm doing. Third thing is start my day off acting like I need to stay sober today and I need help doing that every day. Don't just take it for granted that I did it yesterday or 2 days ago or a week ago. Every day, I need to start my day off saying that I need to stay sober today and I need help. 12-step program, religious and spiritual people, this could look like prayer and meditation. I do that every morning. To everyone else, this looks like prayer and meditation. Go figure. Just because you're not in a 12-step program, religious or spiritual, I suggest that you pray to something greater than yourself, whatever it is. And the point is to acknowledge that in this world, you're not God. I know I rolled around life thinking that I was the center of everywhere I went. That is a problem. That was one of my problems. Alcohol was only a symptom of that particular problem, and many others, but the point is to realize that I'm not the center of things. I need to start my day off in a place of humility, realizing that today I'm an alcoholic and I need help, and reach out for it. All right, let's do a quick recap on cravings and mental obsession. Cravings and mental obsessions will happen at the same time very early in sobriety, but after that alcohol is eliminated from our system, all I'm left with is the mental obsession, not the craving. And that mental obsession is something that needs daily work, or the thoughts of drinking will pop up back in my life. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Please give me a like, a share, comment. Let me know what y'all think, and hope everyone has a happy, sober day. Thanks, everyone.